I'm going to start recording. Beautiful, awesome. So I don't think I actually introduced myself. My name is Sophie, and I'm going to be leading your class today. It's a 45-minute vinyasa yoga flow. And I'm very excited to have you guys. So if you have socks on, maybe remove your socks, maybe have your water nearby, maybe a block or a block-sized object nearby. And I am going to drop a Spotify playlist into the chat if you guys want to listen to it. It's got some nice kind of 60s, 70s kind of yoga vibes that I really enjoy. So if you would like to, you guys are all on mute so you guys can play it, but you also don't have to if you don't want to. So I think with all of that said, we are good to go and we can get started. So we're going to get started standing on our mat today. And we're going to get started in a strong mounted pose. And maybe we start by blinking our eyes closed. If we feel comfortable in the space, you can close those eyes and just start to notice how your body feels in the space. And maybe notice how the breath exists in your body today. And drawing awareness to the breath, we'll be doing a pranayama practice pretty soon that we're going to start by drawing awareness to our alignment of our body and our space today. So we'll start by finding the 2 feet on the floor, finding the 3 points of the feet, which are underneath the pinky toe, the big toe, and the heel. Maybe rolling between those spots, and then eventually coming to a place of stillness. And then we're going to bend those knees just a little bit, maintaining a micro bend in our knees throughout the practice today to keep them nice and healthy. And then lengthening up through both of the legs equally. Maybe externally rotating the shoulders, a proud shoulder, proud chest. Maybe our heart shines forward. And then the crown of the head shines upwards. Starting to feel aware of the space and aware of the breath. Maybe noticing the quality of the breath. Maybe taking the role of the observer, not to change the breath, not to judge it in any way. Just notice how it feels in the body. Maybe if it helps, you can even place one hand on your abdomen and one over the heart. Maybe you notice where the breath is sourced today. So some people breathe a little bit more from the abdomen, some more from the chest. Maybe you play around with breathing in different areas. Or maybe you just take the moment to observe. And we're going to move into some stepwise breathing. If this feels good, it's a pranayama practice. And we're going to start by exhaling all of the breath in our lungs, nice and slow. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you reach the bottom, maybe emptying all of that breath and returning to a natural breath cycle that feels good in your body. Maybe you keep your hands on your abdomen and your chest. Maybe you bring them to heart center. Noticing how the breath feels, maybe a little different, maybe a little wider or deeper in the lungs. Our breath is our living force, our driving force throughout our practice and throughout our life. So Keeping that pranayama practice alive is very important. So starting to think of an intention for today's practice, which can be absolutely anything that you want to dedicate today's practice to. It could be a person, a place, it could be a mantra, a song. For me today, it's going to be the beautiful rain. I love rainstorms. All right, and when we have that intention set, whatever it may be, we're going to take a big inhale as a group. Lots of love in, set that intention. And we're going to exhale lots of love out to let go of everything that is not currently on our mats today. Awesome. And we're going to introduce a little bit of movement into our bodies finally. We're going to inhale our arms all the way up above, keeping those feet right where they are planted, and our palms to touch. Maybe grow an extra inch, lengthening up that spine. And then on an inhale, maybe we gently tilt over to the right side, trying to lengthen through the left side of the body and not crunch into the right oblique. And maybe we lengthen back up to center. And exhale over to the second side, lengthening through that right side of the body. And back up to center. And we're going to do this one more time. So over to that first side, lengthening over, maybe finding we can get it just a little bit deeper in the stretch. And back up to center. And over to the left side. And inhale back up to center. Pressing those shoulders away from the ears, nice and proud. We're going to bring in the feet so that they're nice and close together rather than being hip width apart. So nice and close. We're going to bring our hands to a steeple mudra above, so it's just our index fingers pointing upwards, and they're still right above our head. And then maybe we make tiny little circles with the upper body, as if we're drawing them onto the ceiling, and trying to keep the rest of the body nice and still, just isolating the top. And finding stillness. Maybe we go the opposite direction. Just isolating that upper body. And finding stillness once again. We're going to bring our feet so that they're hip width apart once again. And then we're just going to slowly swan dive down, flat back all the way down into our forward fold. And at first, maybe your fingers don't touch. Maybe you're just on your fingertips, and that's okay. We're going to relax the head, relax the neck. Maybe you shake your head yes, and shake your head no. Releasing any tension you may have throughout the day. Let it go. And then we're going to bend the knees as much as we need to plant those palms on the floor. So that may be a significant bend, and that's absolutely okay. We're going to find our hands to knee or gorilla pose. So keeping our head and neck right where they are, we're just going to gently lift each of the feet one at a time and slide those hands underneath. So one at a time until both of your hands are underneath your feet, somewhat like a gorilla. I love that pose name, I think it's cute. Maybe massage your hands out with your feet, or maybe you massage your feet with your hands. Relaxing the shoulders. And then maybe gently replacing those palms back onto the mat, releasing them from your hands. Maybe take a moment and reach for opposite elbows with your hands and just rock side to side like a rag doll. And then letting those hands go back down to the ground. Big inhale and exhale. And on that next inhale, we're going to reverse swan dive all the way back up to standing. Nice and slow, lots of control, no sudden movements. And bring our hands back to heart center. Good. So we're going to go into our chair series. So maybe if you have a block or block size object, I do recommend maybe place it right between your quads. And if you don't have one, totally fine. I'm going to just move over to the side so you can see. We're going to start in our strong Tadasana that we created at the beginning of class. And we're just going to keep everything right where it is and just bring the pelvis down and back as if you're sitting in a chair. So keeping that back nice and straight. Our heart is shining open, nice and proud. And the neck is not cranking upwards or looking down at the floor. It's just an extension of the rest of the back. When you're ready, we exhale back up to standing. Maybe take a cleansing breath or two. Maybe shake out those feet, those legs. We're going to do this 2 more times. This next time, we're just going to do the same thing that we just did. So keeping our hands right here, keeping our heels on the mat. We're going to inhale together to prepare. And exhale, slowly sit into that imaginary chair. Maybe it's a little bit lower than that first chair, if you want to challenge yourself. Slowly inhaling and exhaling, trying to be as stable and strong. And when you're ready, we exhale back up to standing. Once again, maybe shake it out. Maybe roll out your ankles. And then take a couple cleansing breaths. This last one, you could do what we just did, or if you'd like to, you can bring your hands above, which will be a little bit of a challenge. Or you can also come onto your toes and lift your heels. All right, so we're going to go into our third and final chair. We're going to inhale to prepare, and exhale, sit in that chair. Oh, I just rhymed. Prepare and chair. That was cute. Remembering to engage that core, especially if you're on your toes right now. Our heart is proud. Our spine is nice and elongated. We're inhaling and exhaling nice and slow. Your quads might be shaking. That's a good sign. Promise. We're going to stay here for one more slow breath cycle. Inhale together. Exhale together. Slowly come back up. Maybe release those heels. Good. Now you're really going to want to shake them out if you didn't before. Maybe grab some water. Awesome. And when everyone is ready to continue, we're going to come to the top of our mat together and find our nice mountain pose, making sure we have lots of nice space behind us wherever we are in our space. We're going to bring our hands to heart center, engage that core, maybe grow an extra inch. Then we're going to bring that right foot and send it back to the back of the mat into our warrior 2 pose. And we'll be doing a sequence here. Let me move my water bottle. We'll be doing a sequence here and just trying to keep those feet nice and planted. We're going to inhale those arms up so that they are parallel to the mat. We're going to slowly flip that right here, so that left hand, and slowly send it to the sky, lengthening up through that left side of the body. Maybe the gaze is also up at the ceiling. Maybe we flip that left hand and send it back so that it's parallel to the mat. And then tuck in that same arm and bring the right overhead. This is extended side angle. Trying not to place too much weight into that left arm and trying to make that right side of the body just one long line. As if I set a ball up here, it would roll all the way down. Good. On your next inhale, we're going to cartwheel just the arms and straighten that left leg. And then we're going to start reaching as if we're reaching for something on the table. And when we can't reach anymore, we're going to gently tilt down. We're engaging that core. And our gaze can either be at the wall in front of us, it can be down at the mat, it Me up at the ceiling if your cervical spine is nice and healthy. And now we're going to rain fall down that right hand down to the mat. You can stay right here, or if you'd like to, you can bring that left arm up and start to twist. So this is our twisting triangle. It requires a lot of core strength, so really engage that core. Once again, the gaze is either at the mat, at the wall in front of us, or all the way up at the ceiling. We're going to rain fall down that left hand back to the mat. Inhale that right arm all the way up. Good. And engage in that core, we're going to bring our upper body off the mat and then bend that front leg once again. You guys all look awesome. So really engaging that core, keeping those hands right where they are. We're going to bring our hands to heart center, and we're going to float all the way back up to mountain. Awesome. Shake it out. We're going to do the same sequence on the left side. So making sure that we are back up at the top of our mat, in our mountain. Maybe cleansing breath cycle. Maybe if your heart rate is a little bit elevated, maybe you just slowly work it back down. The mind is powerful. You can do stuff like that. We're going to bring our hands to heart center, engage the core, lengthen up through the spine, and we're going to send that left foot back. Good. So the same place that we were before, just on the left side. We're going to inhale those arms up. And our gaze comes over the right side of the body. Maybe we check to see that back arm, see if it's right where we think it is. Sometimes it droops, sometimes it's all the way up here. And then our gaze comes back over that right arm. We're going to flip that right hand and slowly send it to the sky. So this is reverse warrior. So we're reaching all the way up to the ceiling. Slowly sipping in air and slowly sipping it back out. We're going to slowly bring that right hand back down and tuck it into the onto the quad and sending the left arm above. Extended side angle. Engaging that core. And we're going to cartwheel those hands back up and straighten that right leg. Prepare yourself. We're going to reach forward as if we're reaching for something on the table. And when we can't reach anymore, we tilt down and let the right hand come down to the mat. Once again, gaze is at the mat, at the wall, or at the ceiling. We'll rain fall down that left hand down to the mat and raise the right. Feeling a nice spinal twist, stimulating that vagus nerve. And rain fall down that right hand back down to the mat and lift the left all the way up. Cleansing breath cycle to transition. And engage that core. Slowly bring your upper body back off the mat. Nice and slow, lots of control. And then maybe you bend through that right leg once again. Just finding one last warrior two. Shoulders are down and away from the ears. Bring your hands to heart center, and we float back up to mountain. Wonderful, you guys. Shake it out. Maybe grab some water. And when you're ready, we'll come to the top of our mat once again. Rebuilding our strong mountain position. Slowly inhaling and exhaling to prepare. We're going to bring our hands to heart center. And we're going to float that right foot back on train tracks. And it's not nearly as far back as the warrior two. So just a medium step back into our pyramid pose. We're going to inhale our arms all the way up, palms to touch. And with lots of control, we're going to hinge at the hip crease all the way until our pinkies touch the mat. At which point you can release the hands, we can frame the foot with those hands. And relax the head, relax the neck, relax the shoulders. And maybe you find some dynamic movement, which if you're not familiar with the term, is just any movement in this pose that may feel good in your body. Maybe it's gently bending your knees and shifting the weight between front and back. Maybe it's finding a little stretch within your wrists. Eventually finding our way back to stillness, at which point we'll bring our palms back to touch, lengthen up through the spine, and come all the way back up to standing. Nice and slow, there's no rush. And we're going to bring our palms in front of us and press those shoulders away. We're going to start peeling with the left arm back. So bringing that left hand to the back. We're going to find a little spinal twist. We're going to twist from the ribs, so not the shoulders, not the hips, but from the ribs. And then we'll slowly peel back up to front. And slowly peel back with the right arm. Moving nice and slow as if we're moving through jello or we're moving underwater. And we're going to peel back up to the front. We're going to slowly inhale and exhale. We're going to peel back on that left arm once again. Maybe noticing if we can try to just twist a little bit deeper. If you can't, that's absolutely okay. And we peel back up to the front. Bring those hands to heart center and float back up to mountain. Breathe to transition. We're going to go right into the left side. So lifting up through the spine, engaging that core, we're going to float that left foot back into that same pyramid pose. So both of our hips are shining forward as if they are headlights on a car. We're going to inhale both of our palms up, palms to touch. Lengthen through the spine and slowly start to bend down, hinging at the hip crease until the pinkies touch the mat, at which point our palms can frame those feet, that front foot. Relax the head, relax the neck, maybe find some dynamic movement. Anything that feels good in the body today. Remembering that this is your practice and I'm just your guide. When you're ready, we'll come to stillness, bring those palms together, and slowly come back up. Lots of control. And bring those hands in front of us, pressing the shoulders away. We're going to peel back on the right arm first. So peeling all the way to the right side, twisting from the rib cage. And we'll twist back up to the front. And we'll twist on the left side. Should be a nice open sensation. May feel a little bit new or strange if this is your first time. It starts to feel good. And we'll peel back to the front. And you know where we're going. We're going to peel back on that right side. Maybe noticing if we can get a little deeper. Always stopping before we feel any pain. And peeling back to the front. Press those shoulders away from the ears. Bring the hands back to heart center. And we'll float back up to the top of our mountain. Good. Maybe shake anything out. Maybe grab some water, adjust your clothes. Do what you need to do. Alrighty, and when we are ready to get back together, maybe we'll come to the middle of our mat, and we're going to find a few balancing positions. So starting in our mountain pose as always, maybe close the eyes for just a moment, circle back in with our intention, circle back in with our breathing, and our body in the space. And then blinking those eyes back open. Maybe bring our hands to heart center. We're going to do Eagle or Garudasana. This is one of my very favorite poses ever, so I'm excited to lead you guys in it. So I'm going to be mirroring you guys so you guys can feel free to kind of mirror what I do. We're going to shift the weight over to the left leg first. So just making sure all the weight is in that left leg. And maybe bringing up that right leg into a one-legged Tadasana or in a 90 degrees formation and flexing that foot. And then we're going to bend that standing knee and start to cross it over, making sure that the knees are nice and close. It's not out to the side or anything. So the knees are nice and close and we bend nice and deep. And if you'd like to, you can bring those toes down so that they're in a little kickstand and keep them up, or you can find a full bind. And then our hands, so since our right leg is over, our right arm is going to come under. And if you can't find the full bind, you can absolutely find maybe opposite shoulders. Or if it just feels best, you can just bring your hands to heart center. Do what feels best in your body. And actually bending a little bit deeper into that standing leg actually gets it a little bit easier to balance. So you're lowering that center of gravity, engaging that core, maybe finding a drishti or focal point to really focus on, maybe like a speck of dust on the wall. One inhale together and exhale. And when you're ready, we can start to unwind our arms and our legs and slowly bring down that leg back to the ground. Maybe rolling out the ankle, shaking out the foot. That one's a bit of a challenging pose, but with practice, it becomes very peaceful, very awesome, at least in my opinion. So we're going to come back to our mountain pose, maybe bring our hands to heart center. And we're going to shift the weight into the right foot this time. Bringing up that left leg, flexing the foot 90 degrees, engaging that core and finding that drishti focal point to really focus on before we start to cross over and bend into that standing leg. As always, you can find that kickstand or the full bind. Really bend down. And since our left leg is over, we're going to bring in that left arm underneath. So we're finding opposition in our internal rotation. So both our hips and our shoulders are internally rotated right now. We'll match that later with a bit of external rotation. It'll feel really nice. Slowly inhaling and exhaling. Maybe one more round. We'll inhale together. Exhale together. And maybe we start to unwind. Come back up and release that foot back down to the ground. Maybe roll out the ankles or shake out your legs. We're going to come into our standing warrior or balancing stick. And this is our warrior 3. So finding a place in the middle of the mat. Back to our steady mountain, nice and still. We're gonna take a micro step forward, so very, very small step with the left leg first. And making sure all of the weight is in that left leg, we're just gonna start to bring up that right foot. Maybe just balancing it, flexing it, and you can stay right here. Or if you'd like to, you can slowly start to hinge over, engaging that core. And once again, finding that dristy focal point somewhere on the mat or on the floor, on the wall. Remembering to dial down those right toes down to the ground. Engage the core. And breathe. We're slowly going to come back up when you're ready. And replace that right foot back down. Roll out the ankle. And we're going to go on to the next side. So we're going to take a micro step forward with the right foot this time. Making sure all the weight is in that right foot before we start to bring up that left leg. Flexing the left foot, engaging the core. Maybe stay right here. Or maybe you start to bend over, hinging at the hip crease. Really flexing that left foot and dialing down the toes so that our hips are nice and even. Good, you guys. And slowly starting to come back up. Lots of control. And replace that foot back down. Maybe roll out the ankle. Awesome. So next we're going to find a wide-legged forward fold. So you guys in groups, you may want to turn, maybe take like a 90-degree turn to face all one direction. And we're going to find a wide stance. So I'll talk you guys through it so you guys don't have to watch the screen the entire time. Maybe just watch the front person in your group. So we're going to find a wide stance, anything that feels comfortable. It doesn't have to be too wide, but any comfortable wide stance. And engaging that core and lengthening up. Maybe starting with our hands at heart center, or maybe bring them out to the side, or maybe bring them to our hip creases, whatever feels good. And when you're ready, slowly starting to engage the core and bend over. Maybe we pause through a tabletop, and then maybe we continue on the journey, allowing the hands to come down to the mat. Maybe they don't touch. Maybe you support yourself with just your fingertips. Wherever you are, finding a comfortable stretch that feels good. And I'll lead you guys in a few options of ways to make the most out of your wide-legged forward fold. If you guys would like to, we can find a side lunge. So we're going to bend into that right knee, shifting the weight a little bit to the right side. Maybe it brings you a little bit closer to the mat or to the earth. And then press back up to center. And on an exhale, maybe you bend into that left knee. Finding our side lunge on the left side. And back up to center. And maybe you reach for your opposite elbows and just sort of swing like a rag doll for a moment. And then finding stillness, maybe you plant those hands back onto the mat. And maybe you just walk your hands through your feet if this is accessible to you. If not, maybe just keep them right underneath. And when you guys are ready, we're going to place our hands wherever they were earlier, maybe out to the side, maybe at heart center, maybe on your hips. And we're going to engage the core, lengthen the spine, and slowly come back up. Maybe we pause through tabletop and back up. Nice and slow. And then to come back in, we're just going to heel toe our feet back underneath of us. Maybe you relax out a little bit. Awesome. So next where we are going is to the floor. So if you'd like to, you can just find a comfortable seated position without me, or I can also guide you guys in a little bit of a yogi squat or garland pose. So we're gonna take a little step out that's just a little bit wider than hip width apart. Maybe bring your hands to heart center, engage that core, and just sit down and squat. So you're squatting in the gym maybe, and then squat all the way down, maybe bring that pelvis underneath you, and then press out with your elbows. And you guys can stay here as long as you'd like if it feels comfortable to you. And when you're ready, you can just gently roll back and join me on the floor. Maybe grab some water. This is the point where our practice starts to slow down a little bit. So I'm going to lead you guys in a few floor stretches, and then when it comes to Shavasana, I'm going to lead you guys into it and a little bit into it, into the actual Shavasana, and then I'm just going to end the class. And you guys can stay in your Shavasana as long as you'd like. Maybe you set a timer on your phone so you don't stay in it too long, but we'll get to that when we come to it. Just thought I'd give you a little heads up. All right, so we're just going to find a Dandasana or a seated staff pose. So our legs are extended and we're flexing our feet, engaging that core, lengthening up, and slowly we're going to use our core to bring ourselves all the way down into our corpse pose or Shavasana. And just taking a moment to close those eyes, externally rotate those shoulders on the mat and just letting the hands go to our sides. And maybe we bring those knees up and planting those feet on the ground. And we'll just bring those feet nice and close together so they're not hip width apart. They're just right next to each other. And maybe using the help of our hands, maybe we'll guide our knees to opposite sides of the mat. And this is our reclined bound angle or butterfly. And your knees don't have to be on the mat, but they are going there. That is, their journey is towards the mat. And you can place your hands on your heart, you can place it on your abdomen, they can be out to the side. Maybe you close your eyes or find a gentle gaze in front of you. Maybe every time you exhale, you just melt a little bit deeper into the mat. And then guiding your knees back together, maybe using your hands. We're going to let the left leg go to the bottom of the mat and bring in that right knee into the chest. Once again, it does not have to touch the chest. That's just where it's headed. Maybe we interlace our fingers behind that knee and just bring it in. Maybe every time we inhale, you could just bring it in a little bit closer for a stretch. And every time we exhale, maybe we release it just a little bit. So we'll inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And then maybe we guide that right knee to the left side of the mat with that left hand. Maybe the right hand comes over to the right side of the body. Just finding a gentle twist. Maybe the gaze comes to the right side of the body as well. Remembering that every time we exhale, maybe we just sink a little bit deeper into that mat. Guiding that right knee back up to center, maybe using that hand. Maybe we squeeze it in towards the chest. And then release it, letting it join the left leg on the mat. Cleansing breath to transition. Maybe we bring in that left knee, interlacing those hands. And bring it into the chest. Every time we inhale, maybe bringing it in just a little closer. And every time we exhale, maybe releasing it just a little. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And maybe guiding that that left knee to the right side of our body using our hand to find another spinal twist over to the other side. Maybe allowing the left arm to come to the left side of the body and letting the gaze follow. Maybe allowing the eyes to close if they're not already. And just melting into the mat. And gently guiding that knee back up to center. Maybe using your hand to guide it. Maybe squeezing it in for one last stretch. And then letting it guide its way back down to the right leg. And maybe we start our Shavasana, or if you'd like to, maybe we find a happy baby. And happy baby, we bring those knees up and then reach for the outsides of both of our ankles, allowing our feet to flex upwards and just sit in the air. Maybe allowing ourselves to rock over from right side to left, or maybe back to front. And I invite you guys to find your happy baby or any last poses that might make your practice just that much more sweet. Before we eventually, at your own pace, find your Shavasana. Extending those legs to be the width of the mat. Not the width, but the length. And then allowing your arms to rest at your side with your palms facing upwards. Maybe allowing your eyes to gently close or find a gentle gaze. And allowing ourselves to focus on the breath and our body in the space. And reflect over our practice together. All of the asanas and the pranayama and the intention that we set for ourselves. And take a moment to notice maybe how our body and our mind, maybe even our spirit feel a little bit more relaxed, or maybe intertwined after today's practice together. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm going to let you guys stay in your Shavasana for as long as feels good to you guys. And I'm going to sign off so that I can honor your time. I will be back at this same time for the next 2 weeks. I would love to have you guys back. It was my honor to guide you guys in your practice today. Namaste.